Welcome to Breezin with Bierman, the podcast, part of the Princetonian Now Media Group. As always, our aim is to educate, entertain, inform, and tell you, my people, what is trending. Please listen to Breezin with Bierman, the podcast, on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, soon to be maybe New Pod City in Trenton, New Jersey. That took a lot out of me. I have to drink some water. Today's guest is the creator-host of the long-running syndicated radio program Rock on Radio. And Danny Coleman's Got the Blues, and along with the Rock on Radio podcast. He's a former on-air personality on wPOP, wPOP. He's also serves as an interviewer, MC, and to me, a rockologist. And a past Breezin with Bierman guest. We're talking about the local legend, the man, Danny Coleman. Thank you for coming on, Danny Coleman.
Hey, Adam, how are you, man? Long time no see.
Long time. I think I was at your studio in Ringo's or something.
No, South Jersey.
South Jersey. Oh, yeah, Burlington. Right. 295, that's where it was. Right. Yeah. I've been following you. I mean, you've been doing this, for 11 years now?
It'll be 12 in April. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. I've been following you. I checked you out on Facebook and everything. Wouldn't you say rock and roll is a unique American creation, art form? Wouldn't you say that?
No, I say that it sprung from the very blues that I now air every Monday night. Right. It's funny that you said that. Just the other night, I heard a woman by the name of Big Mama Thornton. She did a song called Hound Dog. It is the original version of Hound Dog.
Right.
That Elvis made famous and turned into what we know as rock and roll. So, yeah, I think it's all connected. It's pretty American.
Right. On that Elvis note, I didn't realize that he stole, like a lot of people do. Nothing wrong with taking music, but he just stole completely, like Hound Dog. And then he made it his own, and of course he could cross over at that time because he was white. It was much easier. But it's kind of sad some of those rock and rollers didn't get their dues from the past. Blues people didn't get their dues. Are you trying to honor them now?
No more than usual. The blues, I think people have a really bad impression of blues music. I think they think it's boring, and I think they feel it's what you see in the stereotypes in movies with the real slow, 4-chord or 12 bar. And it's not. There's jump blues, there's swing blues, there's those 12 bar blues, 8 bar blues. I mean, it comes in various forms.
Right.
And, but where it all came from was essentially the Delta of Mississippi. And then Chicago, people like Buddy Guy and Muddy Waters, they electrified it.
Right. And
yeah.
And then with the backbeat came, you got the drums came in and stuff.
Right.
But was Elvis the one who brought it mainstream to the middle class America? Was he like the first true rock icon pioneer, you would say? Little Richard?
I would say he was probably that whole era. Little Richard, Elvis, the Big Bopper. Richie Valens, who else was part of that whole rock and roll? Bill Haley and the Comets,
Buddy Holly, of course, right? From the Crickets, right?
Buddy Holly, that whole thing. That was a culture that just took Delta blues music and spirituals and turned it into just by playing it faster or different, turned it into rock and roll.
And what I find interesting, those 50s guys took from the blues guys from the 30s and 40s and past, and then the British, they worshiped those guys from the 50s. I remember when Muddy Waters died, I think it was, Mick Jagger said, all flags in the United States should be at half staff. This man's you don't realize what he meant to us. That's pretty true. Like Keith, the British invasion bands.
Sure, the British invasion bands were all based on American blues music and American rock and roll. They, the Willie Dixons and Sonny Boy Williamsons and Muddy Waters and B.B. King and James Cotton, Hound Dog Taylor, Howlin' Wolf. I mean, I could go on and on and on. The Rolling Stones, I think, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was, Mick Jagger said, we're taking American music, playing it in Britain and selling it back to the Americans.
Yeah, he said something along that side. Right.
Yeah. So, yep. Beatles.
Yeah, that's why this term cultural appropriation, I mean, it's a loaded term. I've always been against that. I think, what's his name? Chuck, I just forgot it. Chuck Berry said, I don't care. Anyone can use my music. I just want to get paid for it. But you take someone's music and you add to it. That's what I just see. That's music, right? It's not cultural appropriation. It's just a natural progression of art.
Matter of fact, I remember hearing a quote from, I was listening to it on the radio, B.B. King. Tom Petty said to B.B. King, you hear that lick? You hear that lick, BB? I borrowed that from you. And BB looked at him and said, borrowed? You stole that, son. But it's okay. We all steal from each other. So.
There's only so many chords you can do. You just have to find different ways to play it and everything.
Yep.
That's what I find. Getting to the personal, but even though I love this, you said rock and roll in a way saved you. You went through a tough time in your own life, and it became the bomb, the sob.
Yeah. Well, you know, rock and roll has always saved me from the time I was a kid in high school. You know, if I had a bad day, I'd come home, put my headphones on, listen to Led Zeppelin or Dobie Gray's Drift Away. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like, give me the Beat Boys and free my soul. Like, I just, not a care in the world when music was there to wipe away the misery of being a teenager, so to speak. You know, other kids turn to drugs, I turn to music.
So it's music therapy in the afternoon.
But now, when I was a UPS driver for 20 years, and till one morning I woke up and couldn't be a UPS driver anymore. 20 years of being on the road just took everything I had. It gave me 4 herniated discs, blood in my spine.
Oh my God.
A surgery, a job loss, 3 years of unemployment later. I started Rock On Radio and just dove headfirst into my passion, which is music. Right. And over the years, it truly is a passion. I have sacrificed. I have lost relationships. I have done a lot of things, but it's my passion.
Rock's been your wife, your avocation and provocation, so to speak. Did you ever live the rock and roll lifestyle?
Yes and no. When I was a kid, yeah, I've never done an illegal drug in my life. I've drank a lot of Jack Daniels. I'm not going to kid you, but
I was looking in the back there. Yeah, no.
Never done an illegal drug. I had a lot of fun. Let's put it that way. And then I settled down and got married and had kids. And then after my marriage broke up, I had to go back to rock and roll. And I just do it in a more mature manner now.
Nice to know Mick's always there for you, Mick Jagger. Who is your audience, and what are you trying to deliver to the audience, and how are you trying to help the rock world out in your own small way with your?
Well, Rock On Radio, when I was 15, my band went in a recording studio. And we recorded 3 songs because WPST out of Princeton was having an Unsigned Heroes contest.
I remember that. Yeah. There was some DJ went on to YSP or something, or MMR.
The DJ was Dave Heffel.
Dave Heffel. That's it. Oh my God. For local people, that's a name from the past.
And so we go in the studio and we record 3 songs, and I was at a church carnival in Hamilton Township, and one of the girls I went to school with came up and said, listen. I said, to what? She says, listen. She drags me by the arm over to the Wheel of Chance, and there was my band on the radio.
Oh, wow.
And I remember, Heffel was playing as part of the Unsigned Heroes thing. And I remember getting chills from head to toe.
Yeah.
And when my back gave out at UPS, I thought, you know what, if I could give other bands that same feeling, I'm going to go for it. And there's so many, the indie music scene was really just starting to explode. And I thought, let's give them a platform where they can come in and we could find out not only about their music, because any radio personality can have them in for 10 minutes, play one song and say, see ya. Or any radio personality can play their music, but you don't really get to know about the band and what makes them tick. So I decided to to make it a show where you not only play their music live or pre-recorded or a combination of both, but you also get to know about them, and I interview them. And well, you've been there, you've
Yeah.
seen it. I can't believe it's been that long since we've known each other. But
Right.
yeah,
When you came on the show, it's over 10 years.
yeah.
I think that's great, though. You give that that movie, The Thing That You Do. I remember the one scene with the girlfriend, the music, she's screaming down the street. It's probably an electrical impulse, like you've gone to that next level. It's nice that you give, even if it's fleeting fame, you give people a chance to actually be heard, because it must suck to just to be a garage band wanted to get out there. But in today's, that's my other question. What about this fractured media environment? Can you get a handle on it? How do people get out there? I mean, there's more avenues, but there's more ways to get obscure, to be opaque.
Well, the way I see it, everybody's obscure, because what they're doing is they're all doing the same thing. It's kind of like a fashion fad. Back in the 80s, every girl wore Jordache jeans, or every guy wore Jordache jeans, or
the mullet, the glam band.
Mullet,
yeah,
whatever it was. When you first see it, it's like, oh wow, look at that. And then you're like, oh yeah, it's what everybody's doing. And that's how I kind of look at the Facebook lives and the live streaming. And it really, I don't think the musicians are really doing themselves much justice. Some of the stuff's really cool, but the majority of it's just like white noise.
It doesn't stick out. Right,
yeah, nothing's sticking out. Nothing is standing out. And there's nothing that's making me want to say, oh, I'm going to tune in tonight, or I'm going to do that tonight. Because, and Facebook doesn't help you. And social media today doesn't help you, because they limit you. You can't, the algorithms that they use. And I have almost 5,000 friends on Facebook, and I've got almost 3,000 followers on my radio show page. I can only invite 47 people to my weekly show, and then they cut me off. So, I mean, how many people are you really reaching? You want to give them $5 so you can reach up to an extra 1,200 people. Well, all right. How many did I reach? Oh, we don't know, but you could.
Yeah. It's almost like a scam, right? And the numbers don't add up.
Yep. No, you're right.
That's what I want to lead to too. Rock and roll. I mean, I used to listen to PST. I don't listen to it anymore. The music has no bite. Do you agree with me? A lot of this music is girly. I'm sorry, lack of a better word. There's no rock at PST and poppy, in some of these poppy stations.
There's no rock like I grew up on. None of the bands today, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, none of them have staying power. There are no Rolling Stones, there are no Beatles, there are no Led Zeppelins or Eric Claptons or the Grateful Dead, or none of these bands out today, and nor are they making the music that the bands in those days made. I mean, actually with instruments, with mistakes on the records. Being an entertainment journalist as well, some of the classic rockers that I've spoken to have come right out and said, what today's music needs is more mistakes.
Right. Raw, real. It's become corporate sound bites, and it's not rocking. I mean, I feel like a dinosaur, but I listen to, besides you have Sirius, but I listen to in the Philadelphia area 98.1 and bands like that, because that's the music for me. Or I love the 80s on MTV and the 70s. I mean, I got to share with you, and maybe you can share with me, my eureka moment with rock and roll. I was young. My brothers put on Led Zeppelin 2, and that was my Elvis moment. That was like, it was like Thunder of the Gods. I go, this is different. I mean, I like the Monkees. I was a young kid, the Partridge Family, fine. Of course, the Beatles, but something happened to me. And I mean, rock and roll to me meant it was raw, it was unpredictable, and it just throbbed somewhere in me. It was that's what you can't put it in a can. You just have to feel it. It's natural. Am I right, you think?
Oh, you're 100% correct. I mean, being a drummer, when I was 11 and a half, I started playing the drums. For my 12th birthday, my cousin, who was several years older than me, gave me Led Zeppelin 4. Mm-hmm. And she said, you're going to play the drums, you got to listen to this guy.
To Bonham? Yeah.
And, yep. And I I remember putting that album on and thinking, oh, wow. And then when I got to the beginning of When the Levee Breaks,
Yeah.
at the end, the way they did it, I was just like, I need to be that guy. And I just became rock and roll was in my veins at that moment, you know.
Keith Moon had said once, drummers get more girls than you think. I thought it would be difficult. I think you'd be tired hitting the drums, but Ringo Starr too, they say, was actually more of a womanizer than anyone remembers, realized, I mean, and stuff.
You know, it's funny. Drummers are always stuck in the back.
Right.
We're always behind everybody. And the guitar players and the vocalists are all out front, but we do okay.
Okay, we're going to go to the segment I call Voices from the Crowd. This is basically from Princeton. Maybe you can answer, maybe you can't. Just general questions, because I told people I was going to have you on. We have some trivia. One person wanted to know, can you name the band that sold out Shea Stadium in the early 70s? The only band to do it after the Beatles. The second band to do that.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Want a hint?
It was either I got three choices going through my head.
Okay, I'll let you go.
And Badfinger and Credence, but I have a feeling I'm wrong.
We're Grand Funk Railroad.
Grand Funk. That's actually the drummer from Grand Funk Railroad is the one that told me music needs more mistakes.
Oh, you met? Oh my God. People forget how big they were. They did their version of American Band and stuff like that. They were great. Who wrote, this is from the 60s, who wrote the Linda Ronstadt hit Different Drum? Who wrote?
Well, that was Bob Dylan, I believe, or the Byrds. The Byrds.
He was a monkey.
No way.
Yeah, Michael Nesmith.
That wasn't Nesmith? Oh, yeah. Okay. Good. I'm 0 for 2, Adam.
You're still a rockologist. To you, maybe it's a personal thing. What is the essential part of rock and roll in the music that you think is rock and roll? The plodding bass, the drum, the backbeat, the guitars. Do you have your own? I guess it's more subjective.
Yeah, everybody has their own views and own opinions as to what rock and roll is. But if you look at when it got its name, it was Bill Haley and the Comets that was playing, which was essentially just jump blues that Bill Haley turned into a rock and roll beat. I think rock and roll means something different to everybody. Mm-hmm. If you're a Genesis fan, they think that's progressive rock and roll. That's great. Right. Yes, Genesis, Renaissance, King Crimson.
Palmer, right. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, right?
Right, which was the very first concert I ever saw, by the way, Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh, really?
At Dadwin Gym.
Dadwin Gym.
Yep.
That's right.
But like to me, Led Zeppelin was rock and roll. Elvis was rock and roll. Oh. Any of those oldies music where people could dance and tap their feet and sing. I mean, that's rock and roll.
That's it. If you start tapping your feet and and the head starts moving, that's rock and roll. What about punk rock and death metal? Are you attracted to that, or do you knock on it? What's your feeling?
There's some punk I find quite amusing. Some of the newer punk bands they're not even really punk bands like the Flogging Molly, Dropkick Murphys. They're not even new. They've been around for 20 years or more. But some of the indie punk bands that I know that have been on my show, like local guys from Hamilton, Doc Rotten, and they're phenomenal. They brought in a CD to my show. They had 5 songs on it. The whole CD was 11 minutes long.
Wow.
So it's 2 more quick questions. It's energy, it's good stuff.
I interrupt you. I'm sorry, but I got to stop being impulsive. I'm rock and roll. Rock and roll helps with my ADHD. I'm just joking. Favorite concert you ever went to, and your favorite rock and roll or rock or pop movie? Do you have one? That's 2 questions.
My favorite concert. See, that's a tough one. I was lucky enough to go to Bob Seger's very last concert last November at the Wells Fargo Center.
I didn't even know he was still playing. Oh yeah, he against the wind, come back. Right. He had gray hair now and everything.
Oh yeah, and he looked like he was wearing a bowling shirt, and kind of like Captain Kangaroo a little
And
bit.
he had a disc problem. His disc came out and everything. Right. But that was just good rock and roll. It sounded good. It was rocking. It was like being back in the day.
I've seen him 3 times, beginning in 1980, and all 3 he sounded just as well as he did, 40 years ago.
Right.
Rush, I've seen every Rush tour since September 25th, 1980, Permanent Waves. First time I ever saw Rush. It's also the day John Bonham died.
Oh, right.
But for my money, the best live act I have ever seen is Flogging Molly.
Never heard of that. Flogging Molly?
Flogging Molly.
But that was, it did it for you. It did it for you. It moved you. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, they're really good. And as far as movies go, for me, hands down, it's The Song Remains the Same. That's because I'm a leadhead. I've had lead voices when I was 12, So.
I mean, the sad thing is, you'd say about new music, those days can't be recaptured. There were so many happening. It's like the founding fathers. They were there at one time, and this great music kept coming out. I mean, maybe something is going to happen. I mean, I don't know. Nirvana, they said, was a breaking point. Final trivia question. Who was, according to Jimi Hendrix said this many times, his favorite lyricist? Who was Jimi Hendrix's favorite lyricist? He said that he had the best phrasing when he sung and wrote the best lyrics.
Jimi Hendrix's favorite lyricist. Trying to think of who Jimi Hendrix was involved with. Now I know he was he used to back up
Little Richard, right?
Little Richard. I think he also used to back up like Tina Turner was in there.
Right. No, he didn't play with him, but Bob Dylan. He said Bob Dylan had the best phrasing. What is that? I don't even know what that means. Best phrasing when he sung, the way he would take a note, a word. I don't know what that means.
I guess the way he wrote his music, to the way he would phrase things in several ways with Bob Dylan. Take a song like Tangled Up in Blue off of Blood on the Tracks. The way he fit all those words into the time signature, and then knew where to hold and where to let go. And
okay, that's what that means.
How about that?
Okay, well, final question, then we'll go to the bottom. You can promote what you have to promote. The most overrated iconic band, in your opinion, if there is one, that had all the fame, the fortune, breakthrough music and everything, but you think is overrated?
Overrated? Wow. That's a pop band or rock band?
Could be anyone, pop or rock.
Wow.
A lot of people say Genesis, when in the 80s, when they went really commercial and had all those hits in a row with Phil Collins. But anyone who can make hits, I got to give them credit though.
Right. Overrated. Gosh, that could be one of Milli Vanilli.
That's a good way to end. I saw them in Union Station in Washington. I knew they were lip syncing then, but I thought because I had to. It's sad. That one guy killed himself. One of the Milli Vanilli people killed themselves. Oh yeah, and the last one. What is your best encounter in person with a major rock star? Have you had any, or even if it was just like brushing by?
Well, again, because I write a column for New Jersey Stage every week, and I used to write for the Trentonian. I made a lot of PR contacts. So I've actually had a one-on-one in a hotel that's catty corner from the New Jersey Transit entrance of Madison Square Garden there at Penn Station, New York. Right. Just him and I in a coffee shop because they locked it down with Randy Bachman of Bachman Turner.
BTO.
Yep. Yeah. I've hung out with Judas Priest.
What was that like? Were they just English gentlemen?
They're a lot of fun. They had a new album coming out. I had sat down with the drummer for a while. He gave me some time in an interview. I've been invited backstage to with Don Felder of the Eagles on multiple occasions. Doug Clifford was really cool from Creedence Clearwater Revival. Cosmo Clifford, the drummer. I've actually done gigs with Ed Roland from Collective Soul, Al Stewart, Gary.
You're the
Hoey,
cat. Al
yeah,
Stewart, you're the cat. All right.
Gary Hoey, guys from Living Color, Doug Wimbush and Corey Glover, Gary U.S. Bonds I've performed
Wow.
with, Sarah Dash, a Trenton girl. She's in LaBelle.
Right.
I've had a pretty good run. I've had a lot of fun. So they were all my 15 minutes.
Well, tell us what you want to promote or any websites, and we'll go from there and rock on.
If you want to find out more about me and all of my products, which are the 2 radio programs, Rock on Radio and Danny Coleman's Got the Blues, my chili empire, Crock on Chili, and anything you need to know about me or my producer or engineer, my producer Claire Henwood, my engineer Art Ackerman, City of Angels Radio, DCROR.com. That's the quick link for Danny Coleman's rockonradio.com. And that's all there. Everything's there. My social media.
Good way to do it.
Yep. My a link for New Jersey Stage. And what else? The Chili. My podcast. I have a podcast called Rock On Podcast. It's on anchor.fm/Rock On Podcast. And there you can listen to it on Anchor, or you can listen to it on Spotify or Google. It's all under Rock On Podcast.
Got it. Anchor, we tried that. The sound wasn't always the best, but we're learning as we go. Well, Danny Coleman, you are a rock on radio. You're a rockologist. You're a conglomerate and a legend. And I'll be coming supposedly to Hightstown on the 23rd. Is that the plan?
I'm going to see you next week.
Right? I thought you said the 23rd.
Isn't that the 23rd? Oh, no, you're right. 2 weeks from then.
Well, we'll be in touch. Well, this has been Princetonian now. You can tell I'm a little tired. Another interview to go. This has been Breezin with Bierman, the podcast, Princetonian Now Media Group production. We're talking to the local legend, rockologist, Danny Coleman. And please check him out. I check him out on Facebook, but he gave you what's one more time where they can get you, the DCR, or how does it go again?
DCROR.com.
Rock on. I got to say it like this. Rock on. Thank you, Danny Coleman.
Thank you, Adam. It's good to see you again, buddy.
We'll be in touch.
Fantastic.